Edgar community, really excited to share with you another How She Built This episode. And today we're being joined by Tracy, who has actually developed a communications company called Fuse. And she's going to give us a ton of value, not only about how she started her company and how she gets the word out, but just about effective communication in the workplace. So I'm going to pass it over to Tracy to introduce herself and tell us a little bit about her company to get started.
Thanks, Megan. I appreciate that opportunity to be here to talk to the Meet Edgar community. Nice to meet you all. Yes, as Megan mentioned, I have Fuse Igniting Communication is my business, and we teach individuals, teams, and companies to communicate effectively. So the stimulus of that is that collaborating more together via effective communication will spark business success. So we have 4 different areas focused on impactful communication, productive conversations, team development, and relationship management are our 4 areas of our business.
That sounds so amazing. And I would love for you to dive into a little bit about some of the first tips that you're working with people with when they really want to get a strong communication strategy. What some of those tips are that you would give to them to get started.
Yeah, well, of course, it depends on what the needs are. Since we have 10 different courses, so we have such a wide variety of options. Sometimes we're teaching people how to be more persuasive with their communication, or other times we're working on really team communication. But today we'll talk about stakeholder management, because that's something that's applicable to everyone. We don't have to talk about it in just a team dynamic or whatnot. So regarding stakeholder management, we talk about 3 key areas of stakeholder management, and those are identifying your stakeholders, prioritizing them, and engaging and influencing your stakeholders. Do you want me to go in a little bit more detail on any of those areas? Or?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the engagement aspect would be really interesting to go into more, because I know, especially when owners are trying to get the word out about their business, one of the things that you need to do is communicate in an engaging way. So people want to ask you questions back and have that conversation to figure out if it's a good fit to work with your company. So I'd love for you to dive into some of those tips to get started.
Yeah, so I'm actually going to back it up a bit and first start with the identification, just because we need to know who we should engage, right, to get to that part. So let's talk first about how do we identify who are these key stakeholders that we should spend our time engaging. So, you might think stakeholder and you think fancy words like shareholders or something like that, but a stakeholder isn't necessarily just that. Stakeholder could be even your friends and family, but it could be colleagues, customers, maybe even politicians or regulators, suppliers, anybody that can affect the success or failure of your business. So really identifying them by thinking about who can have an effect on my business's success or failure. Whose help do I need to be successful? Who could even be a threat? So maybe it's somebody like a protester that doesn't like your industry. They are actually a stakeholder also. And how do you manage that communication with them so that they could actually be a champion for your business instead of sabotaging your business? So that's the first stage, is identifying them, right? Then we want to move on to prioritizing them, because we all have way too many stakeholders in our lives. There are just so many people that are constantly asking for our attention. And there might be people that are constantly emailing or calling us or social media posting on our sites or whatnot, and we don't have the time to respond to them, and they're not actually that important of a person. So we wanted to prioritize them by really thinking about who has the most power and interest in my project to be worthy of my time, because we just don't have enough time for everybody. So asking some questions about, is this person not only a powerful person, but also what is their network of influence? Because maybe somebody doesn't seem powerful, but they actually have a strong network of influence that they are more powerful than you would initially think. Okay, so that was the second stage, prioritizing our stakeholders. Moving on to that third one that you asked about is engaging them. That's where we really want to focus here, right? So engaging them, we don't want to make decisions off of assumptions about what's going to work for our stakeholders. What we want to do is take the time to really build true relationships with our key stakeholders, asking them open questions, asking for their opinion and advice. Everybody likes to be asked, for advice and be seen as somebody that's really intelligent. Also, really just understanding and listening to their concerns before we make any decisions. it's not engaging somebody if we go in and say, this is what I'm going to do. What do you think? Instead, we want to go in and start asking them for advice and then build our recommendations later.
I love this aspect of listening so much. We talk about this a lot in social media, the fact that if you're not listening and getting that feedback from your community, you don't know how to effectively communicate with them. So when we think about communication, we think about just the side that we're on rather than receiving it. So I think that is so smart. So when you're actually looking for people to work with and getting the name out about Fuse, I know that you have a lot of word of mouth marketing and a lot of referrals that actually come to you because you do such good work. And that is the beauty of making sure you have such a strong product. But when people first come to you and want to work with you, what are the steps that you go through to qualify to make sure that you're not going to be wasting each other's time and that it is a really good fit for both sides?
That's a great question, because I was just saying to you there about how we need to prioritize our stakeholders, and our clients are our stakeholders. And so sometimes as entrepreneurs, we just say yes to everybody that asks for our business. And then we're starting to realize, maybe I can make a higher profit, a bigger ROI on a certain type of customer. So that's a really smart thing, Meg, to recommend to your listeners, is to really think about, how do I prioritize my time? So I'd say definitely talking to your customer to make sure that they are the right fit for what your mission is with your company, especially if you've found a certain niche that you've really enjoyed working with. You know, even if somebody might pay you some more money, if you're not enjoying it, it's not, as an entrepreneur, I feel it's not that satisfying, right? To just take somebody's money, but to be not liking the whole time that you're working with that client. So for me, really making sure that we fit with what both of our missions are. And then of course, thinking about, am I the right fit for them? I don't want to tell every client that I talk to, yeah, I'm the solution, because that's not going to build a long-term trust with them. You need to really talk about what their goals are. And I only have 10 courses. Maybe a different type of course is better for a certain client. And so referring them to some of my partners, I have listed on my website 4 or 5 different partners at any given time that they specialize in different type of coaching than I do. And so maybe I might say, you know, I recommend you to somebody else for this, but keep me in mind for when you do need these other needs. And then they're going to trust me even more, because I'm not just trying to fit maybe a square peg in a round hole for every person I talk to.
I think that is so wise. Building trust in business is what it's all about. You can't sell to someone if they don't trust you, and playing the long game and realizing that telling someone no at the time you're not going to be able to get them the results that your program promises is actually going to lead to a sale, perhaps to someone else they refer to you, or when they are ready to work with you in the future. So having that kind of boundary set on who you're right for is so important. So I would love just to hear a little bit about your backstory on how you actually created your company. You know, tell us kind of some of the behind the scenes on getting a company started, because that is a huge undertaking, and just kind of how you developed the idea, the mission, and got the word out.
Thanks. Yeah. I actually never dreamed of being an entrepreneur. I was in corporate marketing. I was in working for a variety of different corporations, from Disney on Ice to Vail Resorts and Lifetime Fitness, lots of big companies, where I was a marketing director for 16 years. And I thought, I could never be an entrepreneur. This is the path that I've chosen, and I need to be doing this. Yet then when I was working at Vail Resorts, they introduced me to this one course called Think on Your Feet. And I was asked to get accredited in it to teach my fellow marketing coworkers how to communicate with more clarity, brevity, and impact. And I fell in love with doing that. Even though it was my side job, I was so busy being a marketing director for 3 ski areas at the time, but I was doing this Think on Your Feet facilitation and loving it so much more. And so I thought, you know what? Maybe I could go off and do this. And so then it took several years to actually get into real action, but I ended up taking an entrepreneur's course at the Denver Metro Chamber of Commerce, or the Small Business Association. And in that entrepreneur's course, I didn't even know really where I was going, but I was forced to put together a business plan because I had paid them to take this course. And it all came together. And I thought, you know what? I could really make this happen. And so I started gaining more and more accreditations. I started learning how to teach presentation skills, and worked with Insights Discovery, which is a team dynamics program. And I just it just grew. And all of a sudden I had all these referrals, and it's been only about 2 years now, but I'm busier than I could have ever imagined.
I love that so much. And I can see how clarity, brevity, and impact is what you should be focusing on in any form of communication, especially in your, of course, in your speaking, but even in your copy, you know, taking that into your social media posts, guys, and remembering that people are stressed for time. So if you can be clear, not confuse them with your messaging, because remember, a confused mind does not buy. If you can be brief to make sure that you're respecting their time, and if you can make sure that everything you're doing is making an impact in their lives, everything will become so much easier to get the word out about your company. Tracy, this has been such a wealth of knowledge, and I am so thrilled that we got to talk to you today. And I would love to hear just a little bit more, especially since our community is a pretty much small businesses or solopreneurs. How would they actually start to work with you if someone wanted to work on an individual level?
Yeah, because I'm typically delivering courses. I am a solopreneur myself, but I'm typically delivering courses for larger companies that hire me to come in for 8 or more people. But I've started realizing the value in offering what we call public courses, where individuals can sign up so that other people like me, or like the rest of you out there that are small businesses or entrepreneurs, can sign up as individuals for our courses. So I'd love to offer a special deal for our fellow Meet Edgar community here, that if you reach out to me by June 5th, I'll give you a buy one, get one on my 3 different courses that I have out there right now that are public courses. One is Managing Stakeholders, which is a full day course based on what we just had a little sample of, talking about our 3 aspects of managing our stakeholders. The other one is a presentation skills course, the Skilled Presenter. And the third one is Think on Your Feet, that we talked about, learning how to communicate with clarity, brevity, and impact. Those courses all take place in mid to late June or early July. So if you reach out to me by June 5th, my website is fusecoms.com. That's FUSECOMMS, and mention Meet Edgar. I'll give you a buy one, get one deal for those.
Oh my gosh, so lucky. Thank you so much for that generous offer. You guys, this is going to be a huge opportunity for you to increase your communication skills, which you know is how you move someone to action. It's how you make sure you're getting them results and make sure you're building that know, like, and trust factor that we talk about all the time. Tracy, thank you so much. It has been a true pleasure chatting today.
Thanks, Megan. So great to see you.